Hi, it's Nick from the Run Testers, and this is our review of the Brooks Launch 8. So the Launch 8 is a really good value option in Brooks's lineup. It costs £100 in the UK or $100 in the US. It has a 10mm drop and it's a pretty lightweight shoe. It comes in at 257 grams in my UK size 9, which is 9.1 ounces. It's generally kind of in the past been billed as a kind of a versatile all-rounder shoe. Brooks seems to be positioning it a bit more as a speed shoe these days, but yeah, I think it's still very much a kind of do-it-all shoe, I think would be the way to look at it, and a really good value one at that. This year, Brooks has also launched the Brooks, I keep saying the word launch, unfortunately, Brooks Launch a GTS, which is a stability version of the shoe with their guide rail system in. It basically replaces the Ravenna in Brooks's lineup. So there's a lot of pretty standard stuff on the shoe. It really is kind of a solid, fairly unremarkable shoe, but it's got lots of pretty nice features going for it. Like the mesh upper is, there's nothing crazy going on here, but it's a really nice one, I think. It hugs the foot nicely. It's certainly nice and breathable. You get a nice secure fit around the midfoot, and there's a kind of balanced amount of cushioning, I guess I'd say, on the tongue and kind of collar here. It's not like overly plush like you'll find on things like the Glycerin or Ghost, really like comfortable shoes in Brooks's lineup, but there's still plenty there. You get no pressure on top of the forefoot. The heel fit is nice and secure. Yeah, it's a pretty nice all-round upper experience, I would say. The midsole has Brooks's Biomogo DNA foam in it, which is a crazy name for what is a pretty standard EVA foam, but again, it's a nice balanced foam. There's a good amount of softness there, but it is still reasonably firm. Lightweight, obviously, given the weight of the shoe, and there's enough kind of pep there when you do want to up the pace in the shoe. There's also loads of blown rubber on the outside. They're a really thick layer, you can see there. Brooks has added even more to the forefoot of the Launch 8 compared to previous versions to add some more pop and kind of speed to your transition, while just generally being a very durable, grippy shoe. All in all, the shoe comes in a fair bit lighter than the Launch 7 as well, which is great considering what you're getting here, which is a decent stack of foam, a nice amount of outsole, and a reasonable amount of padding on the kind of the upper. In terms of the fit of the Launch 8, it was true to size for me. I think the last launch I tried was the Launch 5, but that was also true to size. Yeah, nice, comfortable fit, like I say. No kind of problems with heel slippage or lack of security in the midfoot. Very solid on the fit front, true to size. So I've actually had the Launch 8 for quite a while now, and I guess it almost speaks to the shoe for what it is, in that I've often kind of left it aside to try on new, more exciting shoes and get the testing on those done first, just because this isn't the most exciting shoe in the world, it's fair to say, but it really is a fairly solid shoe that I have enjoyed using, and I've taken it out for a range of runs here and there over the past few months, just picking it up when I did have a break in reviewing other things that were maybe a bit more kind of flashy and headline grabbing. And I've not really, had a bad run in it, I think it's fair to say. I've done primarily a good amount of easy and steady running in it, treating it kind of as a workhorse shoe. And there certainly is enough softness here for to use it as a pure easy shoe or even a recovery shoe for me, I think. It's not as plush as things like the Glycerin and the Ghost in Brooks's lineup, but it is a very comfy shoe, and I had no problem just wheeling it out for kind of 5 slow miles here and there, just enjoying the ride. But it does have enough pace here to step it up when you do want to, whether it's a steady run, a tempo run, or even going for intervals or something in that in it. It's not like a really bouncy ride. There's no kind of real roll like you get a lot of these kind of rocker shoes these days, but it is a good snappy transition. There is a fairly firm kind of foam here in the midsole that does kind of aid you in pushing through and getting off your toes. And yeah, it just hasn't really disappointed. Like a few steady runs now. I also took it to the track for one session where I did kind of a mile rep and then 3 sets of 400-meter reps, and none of those were done at kind of express pace. They were all kind of done around 10k or 5k pace, but it handled them easily enough. Like this isn't a slow shoe. It's not a slouchy shoe at all. It really is quite a versatile shoe. But even if I was doing kind of a race pace, kind of 10k, something like that, I wouldn't necessarily reach for it as my first option, but it certainly isn't slow. And yeah, the ride isn't unpleasant at all. It's just maybe not that stand out or remarkable in any way. Shoe it kind of actually reminds me of is kind of older versions of the Pegasus, like pre the big stack of React foam that arrived in the Pegasus 37, it was kind of a similar thing. It was a fairly lively do-it-all shoe that was quite firm, but nothing too mad going on in the midsole or anything like that. Nothing particularly modern, I guess, going on with it, but was quite reliable and fast, but still could handle easy runs quite well. And yeah, that's kind of what this reminds me of. I think this is lighter than those versions of the Pegasus, so it is a really good shoe. But yeah, like I say, it wasn't one that I was always excited to reach for, and it was often one that I did relegate behind something new and exciting when it did come in. But I have to say, I have enjoyed using it over the past few months when I have opted for it. So I guess the best way to sum up the Launch 8 is a shoe that you probably won't be disappointed for if you reach for it for pretty much any type of run. But at the same time, you're not going to be crazy excited to reach for it for any kind of run. Like, it's just solid, it's unremarkable, does the job, does it pretty well. And I guess in this current shoe landscape, there isn't really enough. There's so much exciting stuff going on, all these crazy new shoes with crazy new foams, carbon plates, rockers, mad new technology. But in terms of just a very understated, modest, straight down the line shoe, it really is very good and does get the job done. And it is cheap, like £100, $100. It's not very, very cheap, but that is cheaper than most modern shoes. It's a nice price point, I think, for most people that can go for that. And you are getting a really nice foam here, a nice ride to it. And it's a shoe that often ends up cropping up in sales as well, just because it isn't something that's so headline grabbing. So yeah, there's a lot going for it, I will say that. At £100, it really is a shoe that won't let you down. I also think the big drop in weight is very welcome compared to the previous version of the Launch. That is a welcome thing. I do like kind of a lighter shoe for this kind of thing. It's not like crazy light, but it doesn't feel like a clunker on the foot at all, which is really what you want for a shoe you are going to use regularly, I think. I probably prefer it actually to the Brooks Ghost, which is a bit more kind of cushioned focused. Someone like myself, a regular runner, I'm about 70 kilos, I kind of prefer a slightly lighter shoe on the foot. Maybe there are people who would like the kind of bigger stack, slightly more cushy stack and plushness of something like the Ghost or even the Glycerin. But yeah, I'm just kind of rolling through daily miles. Having a fairly light shoe on the foot is always kind of my preference. I'd say within the Brooks line, it probably sits between something like the Ghost and then the Hyperion Tempo, which is a shoe with a fancy new super foam in it, that DNA Flash kind of nitrogen-infused EVA, which is a much faster, more peppy, exciting shoe when you are doing kind of tempo runs, fast run, speed work. You can do racing in the Tempo as well. It is faster than the Launch, I will say, but I don't think it's as nice on easy runs. I think this is probably a tad more versatile in terms of covering off a wide base of runs. So it definitely has that going for it. It did surprise me how soft it was actually when I did take it out on those easy runs. And that's nice for a shoe that can kind of do it all for 100 quid. Then around that price point, there is kind of a trio of shoes I think are probably are really great, including this one. There's the Nike Pegasus, which is usually £105, always found cheaper somewhere, especially if you get the previous version, which right now is worth doing because the Pegasus 37 is basically the same as the Pegasus 38, which is a slightly different upper. And yeah, those are really nice shoes. They've got kind of a higher stack of that React cushioning. They're probably a bit more comfy than this. They are very durable, probably more durable than this, and they've got great outsole, but they aren't quite as fast when you're stepping up the pace. This is a much lighter shoe, and I think probably a tad more versatile than the Pegasus as a result. The kingpin around the £100 mark for me is the Puma Velocity Nitro, which is a little bit heavier than this, but I do think it's still faster. It's got a nitrogen-infused EVA, Puma Nitro foam in there. Really nice ride. It's a more exciting ride. It's a bit more fancy and modern, if you will. There's a bit of bounce there, a bit of softness, but also just a good amount of pace, I'd say. Really great outsole on the Puma as well. So that's still my top pick around the £100 mark. But this is kind of a more traditional feeling shoe, I guess. But yeah, I do think the Puma will cover off more bases for more people. Maybe it's a little bit softer. Someone who likes a firmer ride might prefer the Brooks, I would say. If you go a little bit more, there's the New Balance Rebel V2, which is £120, which is a true modern shoe. It's got a big old stack of foam, still weighs around 200 grams. New Balance's fuel cell foam is soft, springy, cushy, really kind of exciting foam if you're into that kind of thing. I didn't fall in love with the Rebel, but it was a very, very versatile shoe for me that I did enjoy using for lots of different runs. Took it right down to kind of like a 34-minute 10K in training really comfortably, but at the same time could use it for recovery runs. So it's that is kind of maybe a more exciting shoe to go for if you are looking for a kind of a do-it-all trainer and want to get kind of these new modern foams. But if you want a traditional feeling shoe, you really can't go wrong with the Brooks Launch. I do think it's a really great shoe that is good value. It's not the shoe that everyone's looking forward to at the start of a new kind of launch calendar within the running shoe world, but it's always there. It's always very reliable. And I really don't think people should overlook it necessarily if they are looking for a good value do-it-all shoe. So that's it, guys. That's our review of the Brooks Launch 8. Let us know in the comments what you think of it. Please like, subscribe, ring the little bell so you get notified when we launch a video. I'm going to stop saying the word launch now. Have a good day, and we'll see you next time.